Yo, we out back here. No crickets and honey today, but we got to get some spiritual food in. So we talked about the two inciting incidents: sin leading to death, entering humanity, and the spread of ignorance of God. We're going to talk about the third one today, and that's the dispersing of the nations. So this is going to be talked about in Genesis 11. We're going to have the incident with Babel. All of humanity is going to be coming together here. They're going to be building a tower with its top to the sky to make a name for themselves, lest they should be scattered over the world. This is probably a ziggurat. And the idea with this is you're building up as high as you can to the heavens so that you can be in the realm of the gods, that you can make yourself gods. And God looks down and he says, it's like one people with one language for all. And this is how they've begun to act. Then nothing that they may purpose to do will be out of their reach. Keep in mind, this is around 2200 BC. This is following the flood. The flood came because there was wickedness all on the earth and everyone just went astray and left God. And this same thing is happening here. So God looks down and he says, let us go down and confound their speech so that they shall not understand one another's speech. So the Lord's going to scatter them from the face of the earth. They're going to stop building the city. The Lord's going to confound the speech of the whole earth, separate them. And from there, the Lord's going to scatter them over the face of the whole earth. So instead of one whole big nation speaking one language, building ziggurats, trying to get super high to the level and realm of the gods, God's going to scatter them to a bunch of nations. It's going to be all of the nations listed here in chapter 10. You're going to have 70 of them. From the lines of Shem, Ham, and Japheth, the sons of Noah. These are the 70 nations. Now after this is all the prologue leading up to this is the prologue of the Bible, because after this, it's going to talk about the line of Shem, who's going to become Abram, who's Abraham. And this is going to be who the Messiah is going to come out of. But back to this, we have the dispersing of the nations. Now, Moses is going to talk about this. This is the Song of Moses. Here he's speaking to the people of Israel before they're going into the promised land. And he's talking about what happened in the past. He says, remember the days of old. Consider the years of age past. Ask your father. He will inform you. Your elders, they will tell you. When the Most High, this is God the Creator, gave nations their homes and set the divisions of man, he fixed the boundaries of the peoples in relation to Israel's numbers. For the Lord's portion is his people, Jacob his own allotment. Now the Dead Sea Scrolls in the Septuagint will render this the sons of God right here instead of Israel. And I believe that is the right rendition because Israel is not even a nation at this time. So what's going to be happening here, essentially, back in just as we looked in chapter 11, is God's going to say, all right, I'm going to restart through this guy Noah. But eventually it's going to end up the same way. All the people are going to say, essentially, to God, we don't want you, we want to do our thing. And he's going to say, okay. He's going to fix the boundaries of the people in relations to the sons of God. So he's going to put spiritual beings, divine beings, over these other nations. But he's going to be over Jacob, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. This is going to be his people that he's going to work through to ultimately bring the Messiah, who will bring all the nations back in and bring salvation to them. Moses will talk about this in Deuteronomy 4 as well. He's saying, what great nation is there that has a God so close at his hand as the Lord our God, whenever we call upon him? What great nation has laws and rules as perfect as all this teaching that I set before you this day? He's going to say over here, has any people heard the voice of a God speaking out of a fire as you have and survived? Or has any God ventured to go and take for himself one nation from the midst of another by prodigious acts and by signs and portents, by war, by a mighty hand and an outstretched arm and awesome power, as the Lord your God did for you in Egypt before your eyes? It has been clearly demonstrated to you that the Lord alone is God. There is none beside him. He's saying this to the people because God has chose Israel to be his people, to bring about the promises, the covenant, the law, the worship, the glory, the patriarchs, and from the patriarchs, eventually, the Messiah, who's going to bring salvation, spiritual salvation, to the entire world. And he's warning them that God, he is the creator, because there are going to be all these other gods over the peoples that are going to try and lead them astray, and these other nations. This is why in the Old Testament, in ancient Mesopotamia, that it's Israel against the nations, that it's gods against Yahweh. He's going to warn them right here. For your own sake, be careful, since you saw no shape when the Lord your God spoke to you at Horeb out of the fire. Not to act wickedly and make for yourselves a sculptured image in any likeness whatsoever, the form of a man or a woman, the form of any beast on earth, the form of any winged bird that flies in the sky, the form of anything that creeps on the ground, the form of any fish that is in the waters below. And when you look up to the sky and behold the sun and the moon and the stars, the whole heavenly host, you must not be lured into bowing down to them or serving them. These the Lord your God allotted to other peoples everywhere under heaven. But you, the Lord took and brought out of Egypt, the iron blast furnace, to be his very own people, as is now the case. So my guy Moses is on it right here. Now, unfortunately, these divine beings that God sets over the nation are going to rebel from God. They're going to want to be worshipped themselves, and they're going to lead the people astray. So here is a psalm of judgment on these divine beings. God stands in the divine assembly. Among the divine beings, he pronounces judgment. Why is he doing this? Because the wretched and the orphan, the lowly and the poor, the wretched and the needy have been in the hands of the wicked all this time, and it has seemed like no one has been justifying them. Seems like the cosmic scales are not balanced, but now they will be, because these spiritual beings had led the people astray. I had taken you for divine beings, sons of the Most High, all of you. But you shall die as men do, fall like any prince.